Hello friends, my name is Shivam from DevOps Schools and I will help you to enable your learning process in various technologies of DevOps, artificial intelligence, machine learning, big data and many more. This is our initiative to help you by sharing multiple tutorials and videos. And if you want any specific tutorials or any particular topic, then please do comment in the below comment section and I will help you with it. Also, please subscribe to our premium services on YouTube, which will give you access to more content and videos to enhance your knowledge about all these topics. Also, if you want me to help you with regards to the online trainings and classroom sessions by our qualified trainers, then please do write me at contact@devopsschool.com. Thank you.
Oh, oh. Okay, I modified directly here. No, I had to actually modify here. So let's modify here. Hmm. Get add dot get commit -n second. Okay, we have made the push again with the modifications. So let's see if it runs the new code now. So now again it will detect within 1 minute that a new commit has been made, and then it should be executed again. Okay, it executed, and look, what do we see here? Now see, it failed probably because we did make some changes into the repository, right? I went there and I probably tried to do a git push, right? So I think that is where we went wrong. Okay, so I have deleted it. Now I'm just going to do a manual trigger here just to see if it executes now. Look, it's going to execute again. Let's see if it executes now. This time it succeeded, okay, because I deleted the local repository. So again, it had to trigger, and see, I just got again executed. So it will continue to execute in this fashion. So try this SCM triggered job. Then we'll talk about chained event, that how you can create your own set of pipelines with the help of multiple jobs being dependent upon each other. Okay, these examples we will tomorrow take up when we will also work with some of the build tools, such as Maven build and the other build tools, when we will see that how we can integrate with the build tools, and we'll fetch the code, do the build, and we'll try to also do the deployment here. So all those use cases will come into the picture tomorrow. Try it out and let me know once you are done with this.
Himanshu, can you please show the configure for both the jobs? Because I am
Sure.
slightly confused.
Yeah. Sure. See, first job that we did was a kind of a cron job, you know, Look, it is executing every minute, right? No matter what I do.
Yes.
And it will continue to do so. Okay. So if you have a job which you would like to execute periodically, right? Best, okay, you can pass on. So here I am passing a option which says 5 stars. That means every minute. You can even pass on some other time frames. Okay. Now it is just going to execute this thing every minute. That's it. Nothing more.
So that stars, we have to be aware of the cron placeholder wildcards, right?
Yeah, so I mean this is a sort of prerequisite. So when you work with these utilities, a lot of knowledge you should be having, like how to execute scripts. Okay. Those
Okay.
things are necessary to know.
Okay, sure. So 5 stars means it will execute every minute.
Right.
Okay. Next job, like which we did for getting
Right.
the code from
GitHub.
Git.
Right. So if you take a look here, now this job will only execute whenever there is a new push. And if you take a look here, what this job is doing is, this is integration with Git. Now, because this is integrated with source code management, I passed on a GitHub URL, right? Now, all the Git compatible repositories, be it Bitbucket, be it GitLab, or anything else, right? You can easily pass on their repository URL directly. Now, whenever you pass on, right, it will automatically try doing a Git clone on it. Okay.
Okay.
So that it copies the code locally. Now, which branch do you
Okay.
want to configure? I only had one branch, right? If you have multiple branches, you can even copy specific branches. So let's say if you would like to configure a dev branch only, you can do that.
Oh.
Then
So one
we
question
tell, yes.
the one question which I had here is that like whenever we go to the repository, or also this repo should be made public to be accessible via this Jenkins, right?
Not really. See, because this was public, I did not have to specify credential. Because see, with public repositories, what happens is anybody can do a clone, right, or pull, but nobody can do a push. Agree?
Yes. Yeah, got it.
Now with private repository, neither you can do a clone nor you can do a push.
Push, yeah.
Agree? Pull, push both requires authentication. So see,
Yes.
if it would have been a private repository, I would have had to pass on my credentials. Okay. So I can save my credentials in the Jenkins and pass on my username, password, or my keys.
Yeah. So, if possible, can you please explain on the credentials? Because in real time, in our work, day-to-day work, we more or like to pass these credentials, because the repositories which we work might be a private repository, right?
Right. So you can easily pass on a credential. For example, let's say if we talk any credential that you have, right? So for example, let's say if I have this repository, I can pass on my username and my password. Okay, and then I can select those credentials here, and it will automatically try to authenticate on this URL with this username and password.
Okay, got it.
It works. It will work.
So, next what is the build triggers?
Yeah. Next was the build trigger. So what happens is, when you have integrated with the source code management, that means it is going to clone this repository, right? Now, when it should
Yes.
really look into that repository is, I chose this option poll SCM. Now, what this option tells is that look into the source code management every minute. Okay, and if there is something new, a new commit, then only you should trigger the build. Now, if you notice, this and build periodically looks very similar, right?
Yes.
So, but they are different. Here, when you said build periodically, you wanted to do actual build every minute. But here, it will look into the Git SCM every minute, but it will only do the build if there is a new commit.
Okay. And there's a change.
Okay.
In that.
Yeah, that's the difference here.
Okay.
So if you come back here, right? If you take a look,
Yeah.
look, this is only done 5 times, right?
Yes.
Now, if I make a new commit, then only it will do again the build.
Okay. But it will keep on polling. So when it found a new commit, it will start the build.
Right. It will continue to poll every minute. Now, if you see to Git polling, right? Look, it will continue to poll every minute. Now it says no changes, right? because the previous revision is already cloned locally, right?
Okay,
It is like comparing local plus remote.
got it, got it.
Yeah.
So what if we need like for example instead of we polling every 1 minute, like whenever there's a push happened, I need to start the build. How can we do something with related to Git events?
Right, right. That's a very good use case. What you can do is you can probably create a pull object, okay, wherein it will only, so there is a webhook creation, right, within GitHub. So you
Yes.
can create a pull request, or you can create a webhook, and then that webhook can be made a post request, and then it can invoke that. So either of the options can work.
So we must attach it to that hook, web hook.
Right, right. Exactly.
Oh. Okay. Got it. So we cannot do any change with respect to the Git Jenkins pipeline, right? No configuration can be did to poll for any commits. It should be done from the GitHub side.
Right, right.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you.
Now let's take a look at the next kind of jobs. Okay, so we have seen scheduled jobs, SCM triggered jobs. The third category of jobs are connected jobs. Now connected jobs are also called as what? Pipeline jobs, right? Now understand how two jobs can be dependent upon each other. Understand this. Uh, so we have three jobs, right? Now what I want is whenever my first job get executed, right? Okay, I would like my git job to automatically execute. That's what I want. Okay, so what I can do is I can go to my git job and I can say, look, it has been executed 5 times, right? So I'm going to change it a little bit. What I'm going to say is that do not trigger by polling SCM. Okay, uh, there is this option, build after other projects are built. Can you see this? So what happens is now it will look into a project. uh, Once this job has built, right, my job, this project will automatically start, this job will automatically start building up. So I'm going to save it. Now let's go back here. See, so the moment I build my job, right, and once my job is completed, the second job will automatically start building. Okay. So if I'm going to build it now, just notice one thing. Now, once that job has completed, can you see automatically the sixth one has automatically initiated? So this is the another way by which you can link jobs with each other. And the concept of pipelines actually employs this connectivity, that okay, one job has started, finished, then the second job will start, then the third job will start, and they will be interdependent. The definition that I told you earlier. Okay, I told you about pipeline definition, right? This is what that is. Now guys, let's understand a couple of more things with respect to the Jenkins ecosystem. So when you go to the manage Jenkins options, right, there are a lot of options in there which help you manage one or the other thing. For example, now we spoke about client server ecosystem which Jenkins employs, right? So when you go to the manage nodes, right now you can see there is only one node which is there, right? Now you can even add nodes, okay, and then you can configure this node to interact with a new node, and then the entire thing can be taken up. And when you add a node, right, you can assign a label, and that label can act as a filter, that okay, this category of jobs should be executed on these kind of nodes, and thereby it will make sure that whenever those jobs are executed, they go to a certain category of nodes, which those nodes have to be obviously configured with all the prerequisites that those jobs have. Then there's this thing called a plugin ecosystem. Now, what really is this plugin ecosystem? This plugin ecosystem contains a lot of details about what all capabilities your Jenkins ecosystem have. So when you go to Jenkins plugin manager, right now, if you see here, okay, a very long list of plugin is already available there. Okay, so if you see installed plugins, okay, these are the plugins we have installed, right? Like Ent plugin and all these plugins that you see selected are the plugins which got automatically installed initially. Now, can you install more plugins? Yes, you can. You can easily add more plugins which are available within Jenkins ecosystem. Okay, look, this information is not really available to us. So let's see. Let's click on it. Look, all these plugins have been added to our ecosystem. Now, you can even add your own plugins and then can download it. We'll talk about it, how we can do that. It is not loading the plugin information for some reason. Do you see a long list appearing here? Okay. It's not showing us, but if you search it, then it's visible. It's visible. So when I search for Maven, look, it shows me all the Maven plugins. If you are looking for any of the cloud platform plugins, just search for cloud platform. It will show you all the cloud platform integrations and so on and so forth. And once you see those plugins, you just have to add them. And by adding those plugins, those capability will be available to you, which we'll talk about how we can make use of them. And the other thing that with respect to it you should know about is the users. Now right now we only have one user, right, who has the admin control. So this is the user who can do anything, right? Now we'll talk about how we can add more users, and adding users is pretty simple. Create a user and then you assign them permission. And for permission also you can use different plugins depending upon the accessibility that you want. If you want your users to get project-wise access, let a developer should only be able to access developer projects, tester should only be able to access tester builds. So that's those kind of restrictions you can enforce in here and make use of, and that's not very difficult to implement in there. Now, each of these options I'm not covering in depth because uh, uh, we do have a lot of other things to cover, but each of them do have a lot more capability than we have. Now, global tool configuration allows you to configure the central locations for your utility, such as Git, Maven, and or any other build tool that you use. You can configure a central utility and then you can make use of them. The advantage of that is that even if those utilities are not available locally on the slave machines, they will be able to read it from here. And this really does an amazing job of keeping all the configurations centrally. You can configure credentials and all the credentials can be accessed from here. There are a lot of plugins. Some of the plugins I'm going to talk about tomorrow, which will allow you to do generic tasks such as security, backup, those things you can easily automate with respect to it. And every time you make any new changes, or if you add a new plugin, right, the Jenkins server will require a restart. Now, restart can be done multiple ways. You can restart a service directly itself, or here you can directly type restart. Once you do it, your Jenkins will automatically restart. So if I say yes, this is going to restart automatically. Okay, I'm going to log in with my username and password. And now that we have logged in, we should be able to continue the way we were working at. A couple of other things with respect to the Jenkins management is system log and management utilities are also very important, because eventually your Jenkins master is a very heavy duty machine, and in some of the cases you might have hundreds of jobs running on it. So the capability of this machine is pretty important, though some of the workload can be delegated with respect to adding nodes, but yet you have to make sure that this is a robust machine. Now, the other ways of interacting with the Jenkins is you can interact with the Jenkins CLI. So it offers you a CLI which you can download, and then you can interact with this. Okay, so this is the CLI which you can download. So it's a jar file which you have to download on your local system, and then you'll be able to talk to it. I'll talk about it how we can do that. All these options are given in there. Guys, ask me any questions that you have on Jenkins, any specific use case you are looking for. We are going to talk about integration of build tools, integration of testing tools, how we can make use of. For example, if you would like to do integrate with some of the testing utilities or build utilities. So build utilities are already in there, which you saw, right? Like deployment utilities like Docker, Kubernetes, most of the middleware get integrated easily. Even if you talk about some of the like utilities like SonarQube or Quality Kits, they get easily integrated in here for your code review processes. So a lot of integration in terms of different utilities are possible. We'll do the build examples tomorrow. We'll try a couple of build utilities, how we can do Maven build and build, how we can do automatic CI/CD. Okay, so continuous integration we have discussed today, right? I'll talk in the morning what is CD, and then we'll try to do a use case where complete CI/CD example we will execute using Jenkins, and we'll try understanding it. How does that works? Guys, any questions you have on it?
For email triggers, it will be a separate plugin, right? So
Voice is not very clear.
do we need to manually configure an email server as well for email?
No. So what you can do is, if you have an email server, you can use it. Otherwise, you can even use your Gmail addresses. Okay. Let me show you
Okay.
how we can do it. So look here, a lot of settings, like where is your home directory, you can configure. Any message you want to publish. Look, how many number of executors do we have? 2, right? Now this machine does not have any label. You can even assign it a label. You can add these configuration options, and when you scroll down, right, look, this is where you can add your SMTP servers if you have. Okay, so if you would like to try out the Google one, right, then you can mention smtp.gmail.com. You can mention the port, let's say 487 for TLS. You can even mention some of the other details, SMTP username. So let's say if I would like to send from my Gmail ID, I can put in that email and password, and then it will be able to connect. You only have to make sure that you do not use two-factor authentication on the Gmail accounts. But if you have an unauthenticated SMTP server which is learning locally, it should not really have any problem. You should be able to use it without any problems.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, guys, any other questions? Now, look, guys, we discussed today about a little bit of DevOps overview, Git, and a little bit about Jenkins. Some of this stuff with respect to Jenkins we have covered today. Some of this stuff that how do we write pipelines into it using Jenkins file, or how do we integrate the build examples, we'll talk about tomorrow. And then tomorrow we'll talk about how to work with auto scaling on cloud platform, and then we'll talk about how to use containers broadly. Okay, so that's going to be for tomorrow. So tomorrow, with respect to the containers, we are going to talk about, first we'll talk about how do we work with Docker in general, a little bit of Docker concepts, and then we'll talk about how we can use microservices with containers, and Kubernetes X can help us to deploy large scale applications. So we'll not get in much into concepts, but yeah, we'll do see a lot of use cases around it. Fine, guys. Time for Q&A today.
In case if you want to access the today's recording session, how do we do it?
So today's recording sessions will be available on the L&D cloud platform. You remember you registered on L&D cloud in the morning?
Correct. Correct. Yeah.
Right. So that is where you will be able to see. Now, Ashish, you there? Ashish? I think Ashish has dropped off. Yeah, probably. I think you will be able to see it by night, the recording.
Okay. Thanks.
Yeah. So tomorrow we'll talk about the other stuff, or we'll see if we can cover Ansible tomorrow and then continue talking about containers on day 3. We'll see how it works out and then we can plan it. Fine, guys, we are done for the day. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask. Now, if you are looking to know more about Jenkins, right? Jenkins has a lot of documentation available, which you can read. For Git, there is nothing much to know, but yes, you can go through Git documentation. But Jenkins has a very vast category of documentation available. So read about the documentation here. This will really be a lot helpful to you. So I'll put it on the document here.
Please enroll our general membership for $399 plan to get access of all the parts.
Along with that, you can access our other tutorials such as Docker, Ansible, Jenkins, Terraform, Splunk, AWS, Azure, and various other DevOps related premium tutorials with our channel membership. If you would have any issues with our channel membership, you can drop an email to us at contact@devopsschool.com, or you can also unsubscribe from channel membership anytime if you don't want to continue or did not like the video. To get our channel membership, click onto the join button, select the 3D99 plan and grow your skills immensely. Please be kind enough to like it, and you can comment any of your doubts and queries. We will reply to them at the earliest. Thanks for watching.